Hey, it's War Game Wednesday. So come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I am the Grand Poobah. So today is Wednesday, April 17th. This is episode 285 of The Daily Dope. And tonight I am going to be reviewing Ghost Front, Belgium, 1944, as I have to back way up because this is a big box. This is Ghost Front 4 Old School Tactical from my friends over at Flying Pig Games. I am going to be reviewing that. I'm also going to talk about something that I think affects the wargaming community quite a bit. A lot of wargame publishers, maybe not say like GMT, but some of the mid-sized wargame publishers out there. So we've got Dan from No Enemies is here in chat. We've got Lead Magnets popping in, hey, and Miriam Baden. That must be a newbie. I am not familiar with that person in chat. So welcome aboard. This is a very casual show. This is a live stream. Obviously enough, there is chat available through YouTube. So if you are watching live and you want to say hello, by all means say hi. Maybe you have a question, or maybe there's something about Ghost Front that you want me to take a little closer look at. Just chime in. I will respond. I do point out that chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of these stranger commenters at bay, but I do pay attention to the chat and I will respond. So do want to mention, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you watch some of the Gaming Gang channel videos and you like them, please consider subscribing. Be sure to ring that little bell too, because that will not only notify you when a new video pops up, it'll also tell you when the stream goes live within about 5 minutes or so. So a couple of minutes late today. Sorry about that. A few minutes late. I actually went and visited the nurses over at the cardiovascular rehab that I finished up, what was it, about a month and a half ago I finished that up. So I stopped by and I was visiting them, chatting with them for a while, and they were super excited because I was like the storyteller guy there. So kind of funny. So I was running a little bit late. No news tonight. So first of all, there wasn't a ton of news that was really getting my juices flowing out there, and I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about something after the review regarding the world of wargaming, and some thoughts that I have that I think some companies need to start addressing. So anyway, but besides that, we're just going to kick back. We are going to take a look at Ghost Front. So do want to mention that the show is, of course, sponsored tonight by Flying Pig Games as well as Tiny Battle Publishing. So, of course, Ghost Front is from Flying Pig Games. And, of course, Tiny Battle Publishing is the other company that is part of the dual brain children of Mark H. Walker, good friend of mine. So keep that in mind. There is Old School Tactical Volume 3, which is going to be the Pacific Theater, is on the horizon. I think that's going to be kickstarting. And then I believe my good buddy Herman Lettman has a American Civil War game that is going to be coming from, I think, Tiny Battle Publishing soon. So, very cool. Those are our sponsors for Wargame Wednesdays right now. So anyway, I know folks are tuning in because they want to check out my thoughts on Ghost Front. I did an unboxing for this a few weeks back, so we are not going to like go through every single little item in it. I will just kind of give you my overall thoughts. But Ghost Front Belgium 1944 is from Flying Pig Games. It is designed by Shane Logan. It is available now. It does carry a normal MSRP of $45. You can currently get it for $42. So let's shoot on over to the other camera. I've got this laid out here. This, I gotta point out, is a really, really big map. It is huge. I'm gonna move the box out of the way because this is a big box itself as well. So the board here, I want to say it's something like 33 inches by 20 inches. So it is, of course, Ghost Front is an expansion for Old School Tactical. It's mainly the Battle of the Bulge, of course, and I say it from time to time. It's not as if we really, really need more Battle of the Bulge games out there, but we already have Old School Tactical, so why not do an expansion for Bastogne? So just to kind of give you an idea, now this board is so big, I actually have to, I'm not even up on the table. I'm back away from the table because this board is actually sticking out this way, right? But there really isn't a whole lot on the bottom of the board here, except for, I'll pull it out a little bit. We've got impulses on each side for the different players. So we got the impulse points down here at the bottom, and we've got those at the top as well. So, of course, the counters that I popped out here are all getting stuck underneath here, so let me fix that. But as I mentioned, this is a pretty massive board here. So let me kind of straighten this back out again. I'm going to zoom in so we can actually take a look at the unit cards, the new units that are included as well, and the board also. I gotta be honest, I am not a fan of these big boards, and I understand why Mark has these done this way. I understand it's a little less expensive when you're doing the production and that, but to me, one of the reasons I don't care for these large boards that aren't modular, that are just one big unfolding board, is that you really cut down on the variations that are available as far as the map. If you have modular boards, you can at least turn pieces of the board, so at least or leave some pieces of the map out to give you much more variety. Here, this is how the map always is going to be. So, and I understand that, you're looking at battles around Bastogne, but still, I would prefer a less massive board. Personally, that's a personal thing for me, especially if you were going to create your own scenarios as well. So let me zoom on in so we can kind of take a peek. I'm going to show you some of the scenarios. There are 11 scenarios in the playbook. I am not going to go over the, like Dan says, it just looks epic. The map is pretty large. It does kind of look epic. I'm just saying, I would like to see it modular. Because it does take up a whole hell of a lot of space on your table. And if you're going to play a smaller scenario, you don't need the entire board to do so. Anyway, let me zoom back out just a touch so we can get the whole book in. Anyway, so this is the playbook here. So we've got 11 different scenarios. We do have some new units as well. So we've got from December 17th through... No. Isn't it the 26th in here, if I remember right? No, the 25th. So we have a variety of different scenarios available to us. They're not necessarily in chronological order. So we've got Luzdell Crossroads, Knocking on the Door, Cat and Mouse, Grafe 1, Grafe 2, Dom Bugenbach, Stand at St. Vith, Nuts, of course, Nuts. Hey, Kabuki Kid's popping in. Howdy, Kabuki Kid. Good to see you. So of course this is the main Bastogne scenario here. Joyous Noel. Then we got Daredevil Tankers and Piper's Chariots. I believe that's how that's pronounced. I am not positive. So we've got the 11 different scenarios. Now, of course, this is an expansion to Old School Tactical, so of course you do have to have Old School Tactical Volume 2 to be able to play. So we have some new units that are available as well. Let's zoom on in so we'll look at the cards, and we're going to look at some of these counters. So, move all this out of the way here. So you get, effectively, you get a punch board. You get one counter sheet with the various counters. So these are the different counters that we've got. So we've got the, let's look at the, we'll look at the allies first. So, well, actually kind of give you an idea of the map. Graphics are pretty nice. Very, very similar to Squad Leader, in my opinion. So it kind of looks, which is cool with me. I played a lot of original Squad Leader. I did not get into advanced Squad Leader, but we played a lot of Squad Leader, and I think, if I remember correctly, I think there were a couple of expansions for it that we had played. Unless those were for advanced Squad Leader, and I did play some advanced Squad Leader. But myself, personally, I only owned Squad Leader. Okay, so we've got some anti-tank. So we got the M1 57mm anti-tank. Got all the info for the anti-tank gun right here. And we've got the handy-dandy counterfort as well. So we do have like the vehicle counters are 3/4 of an inch. So these are nice chunky counters. Again, they are not the big 1-inch counters that we have seen from Flying Pig with, say, Knight of Man, but these still are nice big counters. We also get the M5 3-inch anti-tank gun, and I've got that right here. So we've got that counter there. We get the Jumbo Sherman. Oh yeah, there we go. So that is the armor, the additional armor that is included in this expansion. And then we get the Jeep. So we get a couple of vehicles, and we get a couple of anti-tank guns, which are new additions for the Allies. Then for the Axis, we get the SS Rifle Squad. Now, of course, I do want to point out that we do get we get airborne units, we get various commissioned and non-commissioned officers in the different counters. So, for an example, here we get the SS Corporal Dietrich, because Old School Tactical does have the kind of, I don't necessarily want to say heroic, but they do include the various different squad leaders. And different NCOs, stuff like that. So we do get the SS Rifle Squads. We get the Stug 3G right here. So we get that, and there's that counter there. So that's the nice big chunky. I don't clip counters. We know that. You know that. You've been around here enough times, Kabuki Kid. You know I don't have time to be clipping counters. One sec, Led. I will answer that question in 1 second. Then we get the Panzer 470, and that is right here. And we get a couple of blank cards. So I guess these maybe are these the invisible troops on each side. I have absolutely no clue. So that is what we're getting as far as the new units that are added to the game itself. In essence, that is what the expansion's all about. We get some new units. We get basically a sheet of counters. We get the new big map. The massive map. And we get the 11 scenarios. So Lead Magnet is asking me if there's anything about this system that stands out In my opinion, yes, because I like old school tactical. I've played Volume 2. I don't have Volume 1, but I've got Volume 2. I reviewed Volume 2. I like how Kabuki Kids love their maps, except when they're just huge maps. I want them modular. Jeez. What do you people have massive tables that you play on? The thing I like about old school tactical is that it does have a little bit of a kind of like a squad leader feel to it. It's not a lot of abstraction and things like that, but it's not, even though it's called old school tactical, it doesn't play old school. There are some unique modern wrinkles to the game system itself. I especially like the morale system, where for an example, let's see if I think they're in here, right? Yeah, the gut checks. I like the gut checks. You've got impulse points that you're going to utilize. So your impulse points are basically what you spend to be able to activate your units. So I like that. It's not necessarily it's not like a chit activation, but it's not simply a I go, you go, you go, I go kind of setup. That's one of the things that I really like about old school tactical. It does harken back to some of the classic Avalon Hill titles of the past, but it doesn't sit there and just revel in 1970s mechanics. So definitely enjoy old school tactical. Now, as far as this expansion itself, here's where the review is going to get kind of weird. A little like Conflict of Heroes. Yeah, Dan, you're right. A little bit. But, honestly, in my opinion, I find old school tactical to be actually a lot easier to play than Conflict of Heroes. And it's been a while since I've played Conflict of Heroes. Awakening the Bear, which I have. It's just over on a shelf that you can't see in the shot. But yes, you are correct. It does play a little bit like Conflict of Heroes. And it does... how do I want to phrase it? It does make for a good system to introduce people who are interested in learning about war games. I don't want to say it's like a gateway, but it's not so complex and dense mechanically that new players are going to be like, huh? Well, I completely don't understand, right? So, fighting formations, I don't know. Now, that's been years since I played that, but I seem to remember fighting formations to be a little meatier, a little more heavy mental lifting involved. Anyway, so I was going to say, as far as the review, in a vacuum, I really like the expansion. I got to be honest, it's pretty cool. You get 11 new scenarios, you get some new units, you get a bunch of new counters, and you get the big honkin' map. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would certainly give Ghost Front an 8.3. I don't think it's critical that you get it, especially if you're all bulged out, because there are so many bulge games out there. But the scenarios are good. They're varied too, so I appreciated that. So I would give it an 8.3 out of 10. Now, if we take this out of the vacuum, and this is what I wanted to kind of talk about tonight. Kabuki Kid said, I just got Enemy Coast Ahead, the Doolittle raid. Can't wait to get it to the table. It is a cool game. It is got a lot of stuff going on in that game. So, yeah. Some people really enjoyed it. Some people, I thought it was cool. It's not a game that I go to all the time. To me, there's just too much of the, you're simulating the prep before, the raid and things like that. But a lot of people can't stand it. To be honest, Kabuki Kid, just pointing that out. I like what many people complain is fiddly. I hate that word fiddly because it doesn't tell you anything, does it? Oh yeah, the mechanics are a little fiddly. Okay, so what does that mean, right? and Martin Wallace games, right? Martin Wallace games usually have like that one mechanic that you sit there and you're kind of scratching your head about, going, how does this really work in this game? Is that fiddly, or is it just something else? So, anyway, so if I were to take just Ghost Front on it, out of that vacuum, right? Out of that vacuum I was talking about, with an MSRP of $45, and this is a problem that I think the wargaming community has been facing for quite a while, and I think things need to change, or we are going to see more people falling by the wayside to this hobby. So, Ghost Front carries an MSRP of $45. It's on sale right now. You can get it for $42. As wargamers, we'll say, hey, you know what? That's pretty fair. I'm getting a big map. It's only one side. It's not dual-sided. I'm getting 11 scenarios and getting some counters and that. $42. I like old school tactical. That's cool. But in the greater scheme of things, if a board game company, right, just a kind of, regular old everyday gamers, right, casual gamers game company, put together something with these components and charged people $45, that company would be ridden out of town on a rail. It's a matter of fact. It's true. And I think what's happening here is, and I understand, I'm not picking on Mark and Flying Pig Games or anything like that. I'm not picking on them whatsoever, because this is kind of the whole industry as far as wargaming. Something meditative about it to me, I guess. Like I said, Kabuki, it's a cool solo game. It just wasn't something. It's not. I'm more along the lines where I'd be pulling out like the Hunters and playing that solo. Probably because it's just like, you can play that for like an hour and boom, you can put it on the side. Whereas Doolittle Raid is like you play it for an hour and you're like, well, we still haven't taken off yet. So, anyway, hey Viper Dave, good to see you popping in. So one of the problems that we see is that it's almost like a snake swallowing its tail. Okay, we see wargaming companies or games that mainly make conflict simulation games. They know it's a niche hobby. They know they're not going to sell that many copies of something. So what they have to do is they have to push that price up. They have to boost that price up so to make it profitable for them. So of course, for those out there who aren't really familiar with how publishers work. So for an example, if you send out, like, let's say, go to China, right, to have a board game made. Well, I don't have the Hunters. I have Silent Victory. Same difference, Kabuki Kid. That's pretty good. So let's say you send out your design, goes over to a manufacturer in China. They're going to make it. Let's say you do 1,000 copies, which we already know. Vast majority of wargaming companies are not going to have that many copies of a game. So you do 1,000 copies. You sell those 1,000 copies. You do a reprint. And you're going to do a reprint of, let's say, another 1,000 or 1,500 copies. That's where you make the money. Because the tooling and everything else for that first print run is usually kind of a wash, depending on how big the print run is. So a lot of times, these wargaming companies, a lot of them do use publisher, manufacturers, I guess we'll say, here in the U.S. So they're paying a premium to start with because they're maybe only doing 500 or 750 copies of a game. So they have to push the price up. They have to pump that price up in order for them to survive. But on the flip side of it, and I have talked to people, I have talked to friends of mine, I'm not naming names, but I've talked to friends of mine who are war game designers, maybe not necessarily just designing all war games now, and they basically told me that as far as their gaming hobby, as far as their personal gaming, they don't even buy war games anymore because they've been priced out of the hobby. So they'll go and they'll buy just board games, right? Thematic games, Ameritrash games, if you want to go there. But so I think we're at a tipping point, I think. And Ghost Front is just kind of an example, right? Like I said, I am not picking on Flying Pig Games, and I believe that the expansion is good. I think it's a good expansion. It's pretty cool. I like the scenarios. I like the additions. It's not critical that you own it. That's why I gave it an 8.3 out of 10. But when we look back at it, let's compare some games like, you know, $45 games. There are $45 games that you go out there and you get a box full of stuff. You get a lot of play options. You're going to be playing that game forever. Not necessarily the case with Ghost Front. So I'll give you an example. We're gonna turn back to a Mark H. Walker company, right? So you may have seen recently I did a review for Zombie War. Okay, so this is from Tiny Battle Publishing, and off the top of my head, I think this is about $25. I don't remember exactly, but it's about $25. It's a you know, I want to say Ziploc bag. Everybody busts my chops. It's like, no, it's not a Ziploc. The old Steve Jackson games, those were Ziploc. It's a Polylock bag. Okay, I guess it's just the size of it, right? I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a lot of fun. My nephew Cameron really liked it. It's a completely different take on like the zombie apocalypse kind of games, and it's really interesting because every round turn, whatever they called it, you ever notice like old school gamers, we call everything turns because that's what they were called. They were always called turns. Now it's phases and rounds and turns, and usually a turn is in a round and whatever. But that's a game that I could see Mark H. Walker polishing it up a little bit, you know, jazzing it up a bit. And actually, that would be a game that could easily go out there at like in a box with a little, you know, improved component quality, sell it for $35, and you could see having a pretty good title on your hands, right? Remember, keep in mind, I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I don't know if a lot of folks out there, you know, follow the gaming gang, because I've been doing this since 2010, and one of the first companies that got on board with me is Victory Point Games, and at that point in time, Victory Point Games did polybag games. Their component quality wasn't even close to Tiny Battle Publishing. Everything was all just kind of print-on-demand desktop publishing stuff. The thing was, their games were really good. So, Dawn of the Zeds from my buddy Herman Lettman, that was really the game. That game, and I want to say Nemo's War, maybe. Darkest Night, I think, is pretty much the other one. So those three games really made Victory Point Games. So before Dawn of the Zeds, it was just, everything was just desktop publishing, and it was the same thing. They would charge you 30 some bucks for a little bag, and you know, like desktop published rules and counters that, you know, were just kind of cut and stuff like that. There you go, Zulus on the Ramparts. That was actually the first Victory Point game that I was ever sent to review. And originally, Alan Emmerich over at Victory Point Games was kind of like, I don't know if I want to send you guys anything to review, because you seem to review just, you know, bigger name companies and stuff. And I was like, what, are you scared? If you're scared, say you're scared. You don't have to send anything. I'm just saying. And sure enough, he sent some stuff. And then for the longest time, when Victory Point Games was releasing like a new game every 2 weeks, there we were reviewing it. So you know, Alan might not say this, but I know everybody else, like Herman Lettman, says it. The gaming gang put them on the map because nobody else had any time for their games because of the component quality. But what I'm saying here is that wargaming companies have got to take a look. Now, like I said, GMT, probably not so much, but you have to also keep in mind, GMT does not put together huge print runs either. Now, they do use manufacturing over in China. But for an example, like their P500, a lot of people have the misconception that P500 is, well, when they hit 500 pre-orders, yeah, baby, that's going. That's done deal. It's off. No, that's not the case. It needs to hit about 750 to 800 pre-orders before they will commit to have that made. I don't know where the P500 concept came from. Maybe if it's something that they're really, really gung-ho about. But for the most part, it needs 750 pre-orders or more before they actually pull the trigger on it. So there, at least, GMT knows that they've got a built-in audience. Now, they may only go and publish or have printed up another maybe 250 copies to that print run, maybe 500 copies to that print run outside of what the P500 pulls in. So, you know, they pretty much know exactly what they're going to be able to sell. Other wargame companies don't. They don't have an idea. So, for an example, that's why they go to Kickstarter. But the problem that we're seeing is people are not going to come into this hobby when every single war game out there is, you know, that looks pretty substantive, is $80, $90, $100, $120. You are not going to bring people into the hobby. And some people who are on a budget, who aren't sitting there like, oh, well, you know, I get these free games to review. They sit there and say, well, you know what? I can't afford $100 a month on new games. They can't do it. And, you know, and that kind of goes for board gaming in general, that the pricing of it is just getting insane. Like, we don't need miniatures in every goddamn game, right? I mean, we just don't. Standees work, counters work, tokens, meeples, they all work. We don't necessarily need miniatures in every damn game, because the vast majority of people aren't going to paint them anyway. So, anyway, Enemy Action Ardennes, $140. Yeah, I got 2 copies that sent for review. I got a giveaway copy, so, no, I'm kidding. I don't have that. But yeah, so, I don't know what you folks think of this out there in chat, or those of you who are watching this after the fact. I'm just saying, something's got to give. Something has got to give, because you figure I'm 51 years old and I'm one of the kind of like younger fans of this hobby. I mean, granted, I'm sure everybody out there watching in chat right now is younger than I am, but the vast majority of people who are really into conflict simulations are older than I am. And we've been talking about the graying of the hobby for a long time. It's pretty silver now. So, all right, so that is it for tonight's show. I know tonight's show is pretty short. So, Lead Magnet says, wanna bet. I'm not sure what I'm gonna wanna bet on. So, Led's probably saying, oh, so Dan says, yeah, he's older than I am. Yeah, oh, I get it. But Dan, you've probably been involved with the hobby for quite some time too. Oh, it's want to bet on being younger. Okay, I thought you were going to say, you want to bet that people are going to stop playing war games because they're too expensive? I'm like thinking, yeah, I'll bet you. I'll bet you that. Because I can show you a bunch of people who stopped. Anyway, so that's it for tonight's show. I do want to make sure to mention a couple of things. First off, of course, if you do follow the show, you already know that the Gaming Gang, as well as the Daily Dope, are not for profit. So if you like the website, if you like the show, please consider making a small donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Lil Bub's Big Fund does provide grant monies to organizations to care for special needs pets who are awaiting adoption, awaiting finding their forever homes, their special families, and so anyway, everybody's used to seeing Lil Bub. I just point that out. So, because I'm a big softie when it comes to animals. And of course, if you do make any sort of donation, just shoot me an email. You don't need to prove it. Just let me know you did it. and I will give you a quick shout out on the following show. So what's cooking this coming week? What's going on the rest of the week into next? Tomorrow, yes, we're also gonna do a little tiny battle publishing action because I am going to finally review Dark War Rebooted from Tiny Battle Publishing, written by my friend Mark H. Walker. We'll wait till tomorrow. Mark's not going to be my friend anymore. I'm kidding. I am joking. Then on Friday, I'm going to review Judge Dredd, The Cursed Earth from Osprey Publishing. Monday, it's all like reviews lately, huh? Monday, I will be reviewing Forum Trajanum from Stronghold Games. And then on Tuesday's show, I'm going to review City of Gears from Gray Fox Games. So lots and lots of reviews. Next week might change up a little bit depending on if things pop up, because sometimes things just appear out of nowhere. I do know, I just found out from Modifius Entertainment that they are sending me the 2-player starter set for Fallout Wasteland Warfare, their miniature system. So I'm sure that's a ways off because that's actually coming from England. But some other stuff on the horizon as well. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled. So that's it for tonight's show. As I like to always point out, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, please visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. By now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Everybody who's popped into chat, thank you very much for keeping me company tonight. Those of you who are watching after the fact, thank you for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.